The Knicks and Leon Rose continue to make moves. The team has just announced they signed Marcus Morris to an Exhibit 9 contract. That means his deal is not guaranteed, but the Knicks are also creating one of the most competitive training camp rosters that we've ever seen. We're going to break down these latest reports and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. Former Knick is returning. The Knicks are signing Marcus Morris to an Exhibit 9 contract. Even though his deal is not guaranteed, I think we all remember when Marcus Morris was playing for the Knicks, he gave us one thing more than anything else: that physicality, that toughness, that mindset, that veteran presence in the locker room. That person you needed on the bench in case anything bad went down, you could lean on him, go to him, and make sure things were under control. Now, the Knicks are bringing him back again, adding him to this roster, and he's going to have a chance to compete at training camp to earn the Knicks' final roster spot. Let's break down these latest reports about the Knicks signing Marcus Morris Sr. Shout out to Shams of The Athletic for giving us the following information. Free agent forward Marcus Morris has agreed to a one-year deal with the New York Knicks. Morris will have a chance to enter his 14th NBA season with the Eastern Conference contender. Marcus Morris Sr.'s Exhibit 9 deal is obviously not guaranteed, but he's viewed by the Knicks as a stretch 4 or 5 at this point of his career. And according to Ian Begley, Morris has a real chance to make the Knicks' regular season roster. If the Knicks view Morris as a stretch 4 or 5 and they believe he can play that in this league right now, then he's definitely somebody to consider for that final roster spot. Maybe he's not my choice for that final spot because I believe there are other players that are currently available, backup bigs that are currently available that you can give that spot to and make sure the Knicks are a better team moving forward. However, I'm not going to complain about the Knicks creating one of the most competitive training camp rosters that I've ever seen. In training camp, everybody in the Knicks are going to be tested. And if you don't come out with that level of intensity, that level of focus that you need, somebody else, maybe somebody on one of these Exhibit 9 deals, are going to beat you out and they might take your spot. So that's something you have to consider here. But one question that a lot of Knick fans have right now is what players have guaranteed contracts on our team? What about the non-guaranteed contracts? What players have that? What about the two-way contracts? Well, thanks to Knicks Muse, we're able to break all of that down for you. Shout out to Knicks Muse on the app X for giving us the following information. Here's what the Knicks roster looks like for training camp. Here are the guaranteed contracts the Knicks currently have: Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Mitchell Robinson, Deuce McBride, Precious Achiuwa, Jericho Sims, Cam Payne, Keita Bates-Diop, Pacome Dadier, and Tyler Kolek. Those are the players with guaranteed contracts on the Knicks right now. And as you may have noticed, the Knicks still have one final roster spot remaining that they can give any player that they like. I gotta say, Keita Bates-Diop having a guaranteed roster spot on this team is a little bit shocking. Out of all players on that list, I didn't think he would have a guaranteed deal. Now, I understand he can still add something to this team. He's still an impactful player. I understand all of that. But if you understand the Knicks and their current needs, I would think, based on their Exhibit 9 contract that they just gave out, that they would be looking like they want to add 2 more players to this team. But with only one final roster spot remaining, the Knicks are going to have to be very creative in terms of who they give that roster spot to. And if it's me, I'm giving that roster spot to a backup big because as of right now, that's absolutely what we need. But let's continue here. In terms of the non-guaranteed contracts, the Knicks have Landry Shamet, who we just announced they signed yesterday, Marcus Morris, who they just signed right now, and Chuma Okeke, who they signed a few weeks ago. In terms of their two-way contracts, they've given those contracts to Jacob Toppin, Kevin McCullough Jr., the rookie that they signed in the second round this year, and Ariel Huckaporty, the big man that they signed in the second round of this year's draft as well too. According to Ian Begley, Marcus Morris Sr. was very good with the Knicks in his last stint, which ended in 2020 in a trade to the Los Angeles Clippers. The return from Morris at that time included a 2020 first-round pick. That pick was essentially used to select Emmanuel Quickley. The Knicks struggled on the floor during Marcus Morris Sr.'s tenure, but he was a strong locker room presence for both young players and vets. According to Fred Katz of The Athletic, he states the Knicks will have some interesting training camp battles, given the names on non-guaranteed contracts coming into camp. Landry Shamet, Chuma Okeke, and now Marcus Morris are all on non-guaranteed deals. The Knicks have only one roster spot open. I absolutely agree with Katz here. The Knicks and their training camp, the battles they're going to have, the competition level is going to be sky high. And I got to say, for a championship contending team, a team that has championship aspirations next season, having a training camp like this that is going to be so competitive is absolutely needed. And you got to love to see that. Something else to note here. Landry Shamet was pursued by other teams, likely contending teams that might have given him a standard NBA contract, but he chose to join the Knicks on an Exhibit 9 contract. Same thing has to go for Marcus Morris. You got to figure there were other contending teams around the league that he likely could have joined on a standard NBA deal. But what did he choose to do? He chose to join the Knicks on an Exhibit 9 deal, a non-guaranteed contract. Why? Because the New York Knicks have built back the culture. Now, players that could potentially get standard deals on other teams are choosing to come to New York because they believe in what we're creating. They know we're a contender and they want to be along for the ride. They want to join this team. That speaks volumes about who we are right now, the team the Knicks have right now, and what Leon Rose and this Knicks front office has built. What we've always wanted was for the Knicks to be attractive enough to attract players that we could utilize on this team, potentially players that we could get at a very low cost, players that other teams couldn't have a prayer of signing for a low cost like us. And now we're finally in that position because we've added the right players and we've built this roster the right way. I'm not sure who's going to get that final roster spot. Again, if it was up to me, I would go out there and sign Bismack Biyombo today to that backup center position, that final roster spot, because that's who we need. But it's clear, right now, the Knicks have one plan in mind. They're going to sign a lot of good players to Exhibit 9 contracts. And then come training camp, they're going to wait and see who performs the best, who wants it the most. And that player is likely going to earn the Knicks' final roster spot. And in my opinion, I'm all good with that, especially if that player that they utilize for that final roster spot is actually going to see time on the court. Because if that happens, then they have a chance to utilize all of their assets and potentially, come the trade deadline, trade significant pieces to get another impactful center on this team. All the reports are indicating that's what the Knicks are looking to do. But the reports also indicate that the Knicks are willing to give that final roster spot to whoever earns it in camp. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, I'm very excited about that prospect and that opportunity. The Knicks are not that same old Knicks team that they were before. If they were, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing right now. The reason they're adding such key pieces, such competitive players to the roster for training camp is because they know the only players that are worth adding to a championship contending team is the players that go out there and get it come training camp. And with players like Landry Shamet, Chuma Okeke, and now Marcus Morris Sr., I gotta say, training camp this year for the Knicks is going to be extremely competitive, but that should also create the best versions of each of these players on this team that we've ever seen before. Because anytime you are pushed in training camp and you have a legit competitive camp, you end up being a better player because of it. You end up having a better season because of it. And this Knicks team, if that happens, is going to be on another level come the regular season. And I don't know about you guys, but I can't wait to see what that looks like. But what about you guys? What do you think about the Knicks signing former Knick Marcus Morris Sr.? And do you think he has a chance to make the final roster come the regular season? Let me know in the comment section below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knick fans. Peace.